The Indianapolis Colts have a very clear secret weapon, and they look to capitalize on it with even more depth in this area. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And today we've got two topics to talk about. One is this Colts secret weapon that I want to get into and kind of do a little bit of a deep dive in. And the other is an update on wide receiver Josh Downs. If you don't remember, on August 7th, Josh Downs went down with a high ankle sprain after a collision with Nick Cross, where Nick Cross went full contact, took him down. We've discussed that before, but to give a little bit of an update, Chris Ballard, at least for the time being, again, this is a guy who does not give any information away freely, but when asked about it this weekend, he did say that there's no direct timetable for Josh Downs' return, and he's not willing to stamp that he is or isn't going to be ready for Week 1 against the Texans. It definitely looks as though for at least Week 1, the Colts are not going to be running Josh Downs just based on kind of the surrounding information. We are 8 days away from opening kickoff for the Indianapolis Colts. And I do believe that if we were to get, if Josh Downs is going to play, that we would have to know something here in the next couple days. So we will be keeping you updated on all of that. Obviously, we want to see Josh Downs back and healthy, but we want him to take his time so that way he is fully back and healthy. And for the meantime, Adonai Mitchell has done a actually pretty good job of filling in that slot position. Anthony Gould has kind of been there off and on, but it does seem like if Josh Downs is out, Adonai Mitchell will be filling in that. And again, we've talked about this a lot. Adonai Mitchell, the depth of which this guy plays the wide receiver position is astronomical. It's extraordinary, and it's really, really good. So we hope to see Josh Downs back, but it does look like for Week 1 at least, it might be going towards the new rookie wide receiver Adonai Mitchell. So let's talk about what we want to talk about in this video, and that is the Colts' secret weapon that they really started last year, and that has been following Shane Steichen around since the days of the Los Angeles Chargers, and that is the RPO. Now, if you don't know what RPO is, it's run pass option, and the Colts ran it in the top 10 teams in all of football last year. They ran it after running almost 0% the year before and really not even doing it that much. But the only teams that were better, that ran more than the Colts, were the Rams, which narrowly edged out the Colts. The Colts had 1,053 attempts in 17 games last year, with a success rate of 61.94, or like a attempts per game plan. So 61.94%, which is a huge increase in numbers from the 2022 season for the Indianapolis Colts. Pulling that number up now, the Colts were bottom half in the league at running less than 60% of that RPO. So this is something that's a new thing for the Colts, right? This isn't something that's been run very often. And again, this is a play design of which it's different than play action, because play action, everyone on the offense knows that the ball is going to the wide receivers. And it's different than a draw play, of which everyone knows that the ball is inevitably going to go to the hands of the running back. A run-pass option leaves it entirely into the discretion and decision-making of the quarterback. So essentially, the wide receivers are running, and they're running as if they are going to get the ball, because there is a good chance they are going to get the ball. And the running back is running and getting himself in position to get the ball, because there is a good chance they will get the ball. So the Colts have kind of formulated their offense around this. And again, let's remind ourselves to last season. Let's take ourselves back to last season, where the Colts ran a majority of the games played without Jonathan Taylor, at least a fully healthy Jonathan Taylor. They ran a majority of game plays without Anthony Richardson. So this is a guy, the Colts are going to be able to run an offense that's even more advanced than this, because there is now a triple option. Because what that means is a three-piece RPO means that the ball could go to the running back, it can go to the wide receiver, or it can go to the quarterback and do a quarterback read option. So the Colts have this new thing that they're going to be able to run. And again, they ran it almost more than anyone else. They were top 10 in the league in RPOs per attempt in football. And this is with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, with Zach Moss at running back, and not even including the game of which they were running with Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson. So now they have Jonathan Taylor back. They have Adonai Mitchell at wide receiver, again, potentially playing slot, which is a lot of times where this goes. Essentially, the way the RPO is laid out is that you have you have one guy who's a one linebacker or someone that's off that's going to determine if the ball is going to go to the wide receiver on maybe a slant route or maybe something quick, or it's going to go to the running back. And it all depends on how that guy reacts to the pre-snap or to the snap or pre-snap. and the whole decision is made after the snap. So it's definitely a high risk, high reward play because it's essentially when you can't get a good read on the defense, this gives the quarterback the option to get an initial read and make the call, but you got to make it quick. And that's something that Anthony Richardson has been fantastic at. Shane Steichen has talked ad nauseum and consistently about how good Anthony Richardson is at reading defenses. And again, we go back to the preseason game against the Bengals, the one of which Anthony Richardson got so much unnecessary hate. But you look at what he was able to do. Anthony Richardson, at a lot of points in that game, was reading the defense better than his wide receivers were. The pick six to Kylan Granson was a play that Kylan Granson kind of messed up on. And then you look at the play, the overthrow to Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell wasn't as deep on the crosser as Anthony Richardson thought he was going to be. So there was a little bit of miscommunication, but it wasn't necessarily a bad read by any means. And in fact, the one play that has gotten the most highlight over the past couple of days has been the throw to Kylan Granson, of which just threaded the needle. So I'm not worried about Anthony Richardson, but I am excited to see Shane Steichen continue. And this is something, again, that he brought from the LA Chargers way back when. Played for the Chargers, their immediate RPO per play or per game shot way up. And then he went to Philadelphia, and of course we know what we saw the RPOs. You saw them every single game with Jalen Hurts at quarterback, and at the time, who was it? It was Miles Sanders at running back. Was the running back in those seasons, and then now moving it to the Colts and was able to run a successful amount. I mean, this is the Colts team that was top 10 in the leagues in points scored. That's astronomical. You went 2 years ago and told me that the Colts would be top 10 running with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, I would have told you were crazy. And yet here is where the Colts are. But not only that, but now they have a healthy Anthony Richardson, a smarter Anthony Richardson. They have a healthy Jonathan Taylor. They have a healthy even Tyler Goodson. But let's talk even further about this, because no one in football runs out of a college formation called the pistol formation, which essentially runs the quarterback and the two running backs, or what would be a running back and a fullback, which is where I think the Colts are going to go with Tyler Goodson in a lot of scenarios because he is so quick and dynamic in that ability. But no one runs the pistol formation or a college-like offense quite like the Colts, or even more than the Colts. The Colts run the pistol formation more than anyone else in football. And I think this is going to be where the Colts are going to be able to run a really, really fun college degree. I mean, you want to get an idea of what the Colts are going to be able to do on offense and what they plan to do on offense. Play NCAA football. Like, play EA college football and get an idea of how the Colts are going to run this, because they have so many playmakers in this ability to be able to run this offense. And again, no one runs it more than the Colts, and no one's going to be able to do it as successfully as the Colts. And this goes back to the first MVP season of Lamar Jackson. And again, I'm not making the comparison of Anthony Richardson to Lamar Jackson, but I am saying that as far as running abilities and the immediate comparison of accuracy. Remember, this is the biggest thing that everyone said about Lamar Jackson coming into the league, was that he had no accuracy. Even after the first season in the league, they were still saying, well, the Ravens have a quarterback problem. They don't have Joe Flacco now. They have Lamar Jackson. I think people are kind of getting the same idea with Anthony Richardson and saying, oh, well, he's not a quarterback. He's not a quarterback. He can only run. You heard that from the Bengals in the last week of the preseason of saying, oh, this guy can only run. I think the NFL is going to be really, really shocked. And I think Shane Steichen is the perfect coach for the Colts to have to be able to revitalize this game plan. And this master plan of theirs, at least on offense, I think is going to work, and it's going to be really, really cool and fun to watch. If this offensive line can continue to provide the protection it needs, and this wide receiver room can be as explosive as we believe and see that it can be, then I think Anthony Richardson is going to have a really, really good time being able to throw the football. And again, if not, the Colts have the option to run the ball. They have a dynamic top 5 running back in the league, and behind him, they've got Tyler Goodson and Trey Sermon, which at the beginning of training camp, I was a little bit nervous about. But now looking at those two options as your RB2 and 3, I think the Colts are going to be in great hands. I really, really do. It definitely looks as if this team is going to be offensively a nightmare for opposing defenses, and it's all because of this master plan.